This is The Top, where I interview entrepreneurs who are number one or number two in their industry in terms of revenue or customer base. You'll learn how much revenue they're making, what their marketing funnel looks like, and how many customers they have.
I'm now at $20,000 per talk.
5 and 6 million.
He is hell-bent on global domination. We just broke our 100,000 unit sold mark.
And I'm your host, Nathan Latka.
Okay, Top Tribe, this week's winner of the $100 is Rhett Gillens. He's in the restaurant industry and he feels stuck. He wants to start his own software business. So congratulations, Rhett, for your guys' chance to win $100 every Monday morning. Simply subscribe to the podcast on iTunes now in order to enter, and then text the word Nathan to 33444 to prove that you subscribed. Guys, if you want an easy tool to use to book your meetings back to back, to batch your calls, to make sure people actually show up when they schedule, you want to use Acuity Scheduling. It's what I use for all my podcast interviews at nathanlatka.com/schedule. I'll tell you more about how I use it later on in the episode.
As you guys are jumping on that airplane or hopping in that car to drive around for the holidays, listen to the Top Entrepreneurs Podcast and tell your friends about it. Tomorrow morning, we have Max Altucher. He runs Sales Hacker. They passed $2.5 million in 2015 revenue, helping sales reps get smarter. Nathan Latka here. What's up, guys? Our guest this morning is Chad Rubin. He builds e-commerce businesses, plain and simple. Now, look, fresh out of college and Wall Street, he took his family vacuum business online and built his own direct-to-consumer e-commerce business called Crucial Vacuum. He grew it from zero to $20 million valuation in 7 years. He happens to be a top 250 Amazon seller. He co-founded Skubana with DJ Kunavak and built one of e-commerce hottest operational softwares. Skubana is the only software that you'll ever need to manage and accelerate the growth of your e-commerce business. It's beautiful, intelligent, and highly intuitive, and incorporates every feature imaginable really to drive your future success, especially in e-commerce. Chad, are you ready to take us to the top?
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. So real quick, I'm curious about this. Back in the day when you took the vacuum company from zero to $20 million valuation, how do you get to a $20 million valuation? How are businesses valued back then?
Well, it's actually currently, it's based on EBITDA, earnings before interest, depreciation.
And is it an annual? Is it forward-looking, past-looking?
It's applied based on a multiple. And right now, what's happening is direct-to-consumer companies are actually valued at a premium right now. So a lot of the consumer CPG companies currently look at the valuation of Dollar Shave Club or Honest Company, Warby Parker, et cetera. So there's an inflated valuation that's happening right now for D2C companies because they've actually figured out how to tap into the millennial generation.
And what is that EBITDA multiple you typically see?
It's somewhere between 5 to 7, roughly.
Annual?
Annual. Yep. And so 5 to 7 is typically what you're seeing for those that are, say, just Amazon sellers, for example, that are not diversified, are getting a lot lower multiple. And then, of course, you look at someone like Jet.com, who has a massive valuation that's not really based on reality.
Oh God! Don't even get me started on that. I've never seen something lose money so fast and then get the exit they got. I think that was a huge mistake by Walmart, personally.
Got it. Well, congrats to Mark Lore for selling it.
Totally. Yeah. I mean, I think what honestly that was more of Walmart flexing its muscles to the market, and it's a good PR thing, and it says we're innovative and new. But hey, we'll see what happens. I love it if he proves me totally wrong.
I have a strong opinion on that. I don't know if you want to get into that.
Tell me.
Well, I think the biggest issue with Walmart and Jet is churn, right? Repeat customers. And so buying Jet doesn't help the issue of churn because most of those buyers on Jet are just looking for a deal and are one-time buyers.
Like Groupon.
So adding that to their portfolio doesn't really solve their issue.
Interesting.
At all.
So you mentioned kind of these kinds of businesses. You use the word D2C, direct to consumer. We're seeing anywhere between 4 and 7x EBITDA multiples on annual revenue. So if you were valuing this Crucial Vacuum business at $20 million, it's fair to say you guys are doing 3 or 4 million in EBITDA kind of margin per year.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool. Take us from that to Skubana?
So for me, I was doing about 60,000 orders a month across maybe 17 marketplaces. And I found a problem that nobody was scratching, right? An itch that nobody was scratching, which is nobody built a robust all-in-one system for this new way of selling, which was e-commerce. Most of them are built on legacy, old-school infrastructures. So I made a lot of mistakes. I lost a lot of money. I lost a lot of hair and decided to start building it. And I partnered with an enterprise developer to help me build this all-in-one ERP system operationally automating people's e-commerce operations. So I went from 20 employees to 2 employees.
That's great. So, 20 was in the vacuum business and 2 was in Skubana?
No, 20 in vacuum, right? And I'm eating my own dog food. So I had 20 warehouse employees with another 5 or 6 office employees. I'm down to 2 employees in the vacuum business. Ironically, I'm actually about 15 employees at Skubana right now.
Got it. I see what you're saying. What you're saying is you're eating your own dog food, and it saves you about 18 employees and hard cost kind of headcount per month.
Exactly. I automate low value activities, and most of the high value stuff I purpose for my most valuable assets, employees here in the United States.
Got it. Okay. How does Skubana make money?
We are a subscription software.
Okay, so it's SaaS.
Yeah, SaaS business, all in the cloud. So I'm not sure if you've heard of, there's all in e-commerce, you had to use all these point solutions to run your business. You needed a shipping software, then you need an inventory software, then you need a vendor management software. And so we combine all those in one unified place that gives you intelligence and automates everything.
So how many customers are you currently serving?
We're triple digits right now. So we've been at it for about a year and a half. I think we're in the top 1% of startup land. But we're very.
Let's be specific there. So what does that mean? So you have 300 paying customers. Well, what do you mean hundreds?
So we're not 1,000, but we're certainly not 100. So we're somewhere in the middle. We don't typically publicly reveal it, but you're right around where our sweet spot is.
So around 300. And by the way, I'm looking at some Cotopaxi and those guys coming up from Brazil and doing what they're doing. Davis, great friends. So if they're using you, I know you're onto something.
We love Cotopaxi.
Yeah, I think they raised a bunch of money. They're doing probably a lot of volume through you guys, I bet.
Yes.
Talk to us about pricing. How do you charge these customers? Is it a value-based metric, feature-based? How do you pay?
So we are that's the thing. So it used to be usage-based when we first started out. So when we first started out, we were $99 a month, and then the greater of the usage, so order transactions coming through our platform. Uh-huh. Then we bumped up our min to $250, then to $500. Now our min is $999 to even get in the door because it's really an enterprise software. So
$1,000 a month is minimum.
Yeah. So now we customize pricing based on users, because we're moving a lot more upstream. And there's a lot more complexities when you're moving upstream. So we have conversations. How many marketplaces are you on? How many SKUs do you have? How many users do you need? And we customize a fixed price that's both fair for both our customer and for our software.
It's great to understand kind of the levers you're pulling to either have higher or lower ARPUs. But for the sake of moving forward, kind of with the chats around economics, just give us a weighted average across your entire customer base. What are they paying per month?
Right now, our ARPU is above $1,000.
Okay, above 1,000. It's
a good indicator, right? We're just above $1,000 in terms of ARPU. That's super good for a year and a half startup with the amount of customers that we have.
Sure. Yeah. So in order to get MRR, is the math as simple as taking $1,000 ARPU times 300 customers and assume you're doing about $300,000 in MRR?
Yeah, that's a good assumption.
Okay. Yeah, very healthy for a startup. Talk to us about funding. Are you bootstrapped or have you raised?
So we did a seed round early on. My friends, family, I sent an email to about 10 people I wanted to involve in the startup that were directly involved in e-commerce. Uh-huh. Sure enough, one responded, but all you need is one.
That's how it works.
So Brian Lee from LegalZoom, Honest Company, ShoeDazzle came in as our only institutional investor. And then we had a guy by the name James Thompson, who really was at the early stages of Amazon, came in as our biggest investor.
And how much total did you raise?
In our first seed round, it was $880,000, and then I put in my own $1 million.
Okay, so you raised about $1.8 million bucks.
Mm-hmm.
You said that these were friends, what do you mean for a friend's family? Your friend's family just happened to be early at Amazon and these other places?
No. James Thompson happened to be early at Amazon, and he used to be my account manager, and then he started running the whole fulfillment by Amazon marketplace side of the business, Amazon services, and then he left and started his own business. He started the Prosper Show, which is the biggest Amazon selling conference. So I wanted to get him involved, and he wanted to get involved. In terms of friends and family, it was literally people who have just seen my successes at Crucial and were like, hey, I want to be part of what's next.
But who was you said one responded, and then you said the guy from LegalZoom invested.
Brian Lee from
Brian, he's a family friend.
He's not a family friend. He was just a random person. I reached out to 10 people, and I wrote him a really nice letter. And he wrote back saying, hey, definitely interested. Tell me more.
Sorry, I want to make sure I get this right. You said that you had, because people are always looking at where they find their first investors. You said you messaged 10 people who were were family members of a friend you had. Did I hear that right?
No, I misspoke. I messaged 10 people that are heavily involved in e-commerce that I look up to, right? People that I look up to that I really respect to see and get them involved in this business.
Makes good sense. Sorry, I either misheard you there or you misspoke. Either way, let's bump forward. So you founded this, you said, in last year, right? 2015?
No, we went live last year. We started building about 3.5 years ago.
Holy mackerel. Okay, so here's the interesting question. How much money did you pour into developer salaries, design, everything before you had your first dollar in revenue?
That's a really good question. Well, we raised $880 before we even when we had just a small prototype. So let's just go with the $880,000 mark.
But did you spend all that before you had your first dollar in revenue, you think?
No. We spent probably $500,000 of it, okay. $400,000.
Yeah, that's a question I always get, which is why I ask it, right? People go, well, Nathan, do I need money to make money? And some people pre-sell something before they do one line of code. Some people do what you did, and they're coding for 2-3 years before they have their first dollar revenue.
Yeah, I just think this is a very complex problem that we're solving. It's not like a one-trick pony. It doesn't just post. This literally runs your entire business in one place.
Yeah.
And so it requires a lot of customer support and enterprise developers to support it.
Mm-hmm. So you said 2015 was obviously kind of first kind of year live. What was your first year revenue? It's always embarrassing, but I'm thinking you might be a little ahead of the curve.
2015, I think we ended, our MRR was roughly maybe 50,000, 40,000 by the end of the year.
So what did you do? Somewhere around 350K kind of in total revenue, or 400, something like that? Something
like that. Like the thing is, when we launched our, what I call a massive viable product, our MVP, we were very early. We brought on a lot of beta like customers who were very small, and we've been moving more and more as we've been adding more functionality and features. We've grown out of those small customers. Yeah. So you can see that our ARPU has tremendously risen, right? Over time, like we've probably 3.5 times our ARPU since like at the end of 2015.
Yeah, I want to understand this more, Chad, because you basically went from 50K in MRR, less than 9 months ago to 6xing that, which is, that's crazy. Have you forced people that signed up early on lower ARPUs to pay the new ARPUs, or have you grandfathered them in?
So that's a great question. So what we did was, we learned initially when I started Skubana, I had this idea, this notion, I wanted this enterprise software to be available to everybody. We quickly realized that those $99 customers were consuming 100% of our time, of our company's time. So over time, we actually did raise the price, and a lot of those customers churned off. But they had nothing to lose. So Skubana we're not a lifeboat, we're a speedboat. We help you take your business to the next level and escalate it, right? We don't help you just start a business. So we're not an entry-level software, and a lot of those companies had nothing to lose by churning off, which leads me to the next thing is that our churn is amazing because the customers that are on our platform, they built their businesses around Skubana.
What is your churn? What's your gross monthly customer churn?
It's zero.
Okay, so
we've lost one customer that's been paying over $1,000 a month in the history of our company.
Okay, and then let's go back to my original question. When you increase ARPU, does everyone see a pop-up that says, "Hey, either leave our platform or update your credit card to pay the new ARPU price"?
I individually call customers to talk about pricing. Okay, but those smaller customers, yes, they did get an email saying, "Hey, by the way, your price is going up." We've added a lot of features, we've added a lot of functionality, and we need to support that.
But Chad, what I'm getting to here is I want to understand if your growth is coming from, you took your current customer base, you basically strategically priced some of your customers out of the market so they would churn, which you wanted. Mm-hmm. Some of them, though, you called and they paid more. Is that true? Or did most of this growth come from you guys going and finding brand new customers at the higher ARPUs?
It's a mix. We're not finding new customers. They're finding us because they're so unhappy with their current infrastructure. So we're not even spending a dollar. So the answer to your question is most of our ARPU growth and our MRR growth is coming from net new customers.
Okay, so if that's the case and you've had amazing growth, walk us through how you're finding these folks. You say they naturally find you. That doesn't help my audience, though. How are they finding you? Why are they finding you?
You're right. So I think we're blessed. So here's the thing is that people are unhappy with, so a lot of these companies that raise a lot of money and they're built on inferior technologies, they realize they can't run their business on those technologies. So they need to look elsewhere. So they're looking for a solution, number one. Two is I'm also extremely outspoken, right? So I speak at every major conference. I wrote a book and I have a YouTube. It's called Cheaper, Easier, Direct.
Okay. How many
It's
copies?
how I
How many
built-
copies have you sold?
That's a good question. I actually hit number 7 bestseller in Business and Money for a bit. So I probably sold maybe a couple thousand so far.
Cool. And most of those
I'm
people
not
probably
doing it for
turn
the
into
money,
customers.
but it was nice to be number 7. I was on NPR and I hit number 7. I even passed someone who I really respect, which is Gary Vee, for a bit. So I took a screenshot right away and I was like, awesome. So I'm doing these, and I'm also doing a lot of like webinars, blogs, all those things I think add up.
How are you filling the webinars? How are you getting that traffic?
So first of all, we have a subscription list that we maintain. People are reading our blog because we're providing value. I've read enough of Neil Patel's blogs and have listened enough to Gary Vee to be like, hey, we're just going to keep on adding value and people are going to find us, right? They're going to weed through all the clutter and the noise and eventually find us.
So how many folks are on your list currently?
I think we're maybe somewhere in the $7,000 to $10,000 range.
And so when you email them about a new webinar coming up next week, how many of them typically show up?
So the last webinar I did, I think I had 570 people apply, and I think we had like 40% or 35% show up.
Well, you had 570 people actually register on a list that's only 7,000 people. That's a hugely curated list.
Well, the other thing is we actually combined with a partner. So that's the other thing. We have an app store at Skubana, and these people are integrating into our app store because we have an open API. And so that's a beautiful thing too, because now instead of selling bananas one by one, we're selling in bunches. We're pairing ourselves together with other companies to sell our software and to sell their software.
So tell us what that sales pitch looks like to the partner. What incentivizes them to email their list to fill up your webinar? Are you giving them an affiliate cut or what?
No, because they get if they get a sale, they could get sales from the webinar too. So essentially what I would do is I would go on, maybe give a whole lecture on like this book that I wrote and provide value, right? That's my number one thing, is to make sure people are like, holy moly, this is an awesome webinar. I learned a ton. And it's at that point, at the end, we'll say, hey, by the way, we're having a special here for this offer. And by the way, here's our software at Skubana, and here's a deal that you can't refuse. Okay.
And about how many people? So 500-ish people sign up. 35% of those, so call it 200, show up. How many of them buy Skubana by the end on average?
So we're lucky if we get maybe 2 or 3 people. Again, for us, it's not the
$3,000 in MRR.
That is, you're right.
That's great.
You're right, but I think that's why I'm trying to clarify that most people are like, oh, how many customers did you land? It's not about customer count. It's not about the quantity of customers. It's about the quality of the customers.
Yeah, I mean,
and so that's what I care most about.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I mean, it's great. So, like, I'm looking at your app store right now. You have World First, Barcoders, Excello, QuickBooks. I mean, have you done a webinar with QuickBooks?
So QuickBooks is through WebGility, and WebGility is a software platform that connects Skubana to QuickBooks. And so we're working on it. Actually, it's funny. I have a webinar call with them later today.
Name 3 people you've done webinars with that you think were the most successful in terms of total people that showed up and just general good vibes on the call. Yeah.
So first of all, I've only done one like real partnership webinar, which was with Excelco, which is a CRM software for e-commerce sellers. Mm-hmm. And that was the most successful. December 1st, I have Death Wish Coffee, which is one of our sort of landmark customers. They're one of the biggest Shopify customers on the platform. And so we're doing a webinar December 1st. And so I have like a whole mixture of webinars coming up.
Okay, so
Excelco is extremely great.
Yeah, that's not your big driver then. If you've only done one, you've gone from 50K in MRR to 300 grand in MRR, right? I mean, like you're doing something here very intentionally and it's working. You're saying you've said, quote, we're blessed. Again, there's a strategy you're using. So blog content is great. I looked you guys up on Ahrefs. You're ranked 112,000 in terms of total websites kind of online right now in terms of traffic you're getting.
And how is that? Is that good?
It's good. I think it's good. It's good. All right. So when I then look at kind of your backlinks you're getting, right? So featured on Y Combinator, featured on Hack the Entrepreneur, the Wirecutter. Do you spend a lot of time guest blogging?
I do. That's a large part of my strategy, is not only guest blogging with people that are developing into our app store, but doing podcasts, doing blogging with others, just providing value. We were on Bloomberg. I was on NPR. So all of that helps.
Totally. Okay, awesome. That's helpful, Chad. Let me just walk through kind of a few other things real quick. So churn is low. What are you willing to spend to acquire a new customer?
Right now, we're spending 0, but also it's because we actually are not, we're being very disciplined with the capital that we have.
Sorry, let me ask that differently. I don't mean just paid marketing. So you're fully weighted CAC. That includes salaries of people creating content, any inside salespeople, all that kind of stuff.
Okay. So the question is, how much are we willing to spend to get a customer?
Correct.
Well,
Yeah.
let's just assume that people are spending 18 months on our platform, even though we're not seeing a ton of churn. So typically you can take 18 months times our ARPU, right? And that can give you an idea. But right now we're spending zero outside of our overhead costs.
Well,
right?
The math you just gave us gives you your lifetime value, which is about 18 grand. If you assume 18 months of lifetime at a grand ARPU. But the real question I'm asking is, if that's what you're presuming your LTV is, which it might be greater because your churn's so low. What are you willing
12 months? It's fine.
Yeah. What are you willing to spend to acquire an $18,000 lifetime value customer?
So we haven't been spending anything right now. So, I think for a while we were spending some money, a good chunk of money, but now we're now spending zero. So what are we willing to spend? I mean, anything below 18 is a win, right?
Chad, what do you mean though when you say you're spending that? What I think you mean to say is you're not spending anything on paid acquisition. You're not running Google AdWords or Facebook ads, right? But you have people absolutely creating content and you pay them salaries, correct?
First of all, I'm paying the most in terms of, I'm actually doing the most in terms of content right now.
Okay.
And most of those people that are doing blogs are actually freelancers, and we're not spending a lot of money on that at all.
Okay. So
let's just say it's like $2,000 a month. Let's just put that.
So it's marginal, right? Okay.
Marginal.
Good. Okay. And what's total team size you said earlier, but I didn't remember. What was it again?
The biggest costs come from our development team. We have 7 developers. We have 2 account managers, 1 person in sales, 1 person in operations, and myself. I think we're very skinny. Very bare bones. A couple of freelancers that we're using that are outsourced. I'm big into outsourcing, especially core competencies. And we're looking to hire 2 more account managers right now.
So what are your total headcount expenses per month? Just add it all together.
Total headcount expenses, total overhead costs are let's just say 120,000.
That's not bad. And that includes like office space, people, healthcare plans, all that jazz.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Okay. Very cool. Let me see here. And again, you're moving up enterprise, which is good. Where are you guys based?
Developers are in New York City. Our team is in New Jersey.
Okay. New York City and Jersey.
The
Very good.
Team.
Very good. And what are you, what's kind of the plan? Are you looking to raise capital right now? By the way, you have healthy economics.
We're looking for the right investors. Sure. I think that we're a very unsexy business. And in the early stages, I would say most VCs actually passed on this business.
Yep. What is the, obviously you want to get the right partners. How much would you like to raise? You don't need the money, but how much would you like to raise?
I'd like to raise about $1 million, which is not a lot in the grand scheme of things.
Yep. But
again, finding those VCs has been tremendously hard because this is an operational business and it's not, I don't know if our economics align with the VC's economics.
I mean, I think what would make it even tougher besides that is you're doing about 3.6 million right now in MRR. And if you're growing in ARR, if you're doing about 300 grand per month in MRR, and if you're growing 100% year over year, I mean, you could probably argue for a valuation somewhere between 4 and 6x your ARR, right? Which puts you somewhere, I don't know, 15 to 25 million, something like that. So raising 1 million on a 15 million pre-money, that's not going to interest any investor because the equity amount they get for that is like nothing. So you'll probably go to like an angel or something, right?
Yeah, I think, or we just continue to grow.
Keep doing your thing. Yeah,
exactly.
Totally. That's the best place to be, Chad. Where's the best place for folks to follow you online if they want to follow you as you kind of keep building this business?
They can find our YouTube channel, Skubana TV. They can find me on Twitter, Ecom Renegade. Or they can email me at chat@skubana.com if they want to chat more. I'm looking to find other SaaS founders who are looking to collaborate and see what's working for them and what's working for us.
All right, guys, I talked about this earlier, but I schedule like so many meetings that would blow your mind. I mean, all my podcast interviews, right? Hundreds of entrepreneurs I talk to monthly. I schedule, and you know what? I do it so efficiently. I get them all to agree to my calendar. So all the calls are back to back to back. That means I'm not switching in between tasks all day long. I get them to batch so that I can be very efficient. It's so critical. And I use a tool called Acuity Scheduling to do this at nathanlatka.com/schedule. It eliminates the back and forth between me and people I'm trying to meet with. It makes it very simple. And most importantly, they help me keep my no-show rate very low because they send out reminders. Helps you look very professional. So go to nathanlatka.com/schedule to sign up. And you get a great deal. You know, you guys know this. I hit people hard. I make great deals. And Gavin, the CEO, has given us a great deal. If you sign up like normal people, okay, on their website, you only get a 14-day free trial. If you use my link, nathanlatka.com/schedule, you get 45 days free. Okay, it's the best. It's free. Go to nathanlatka.com/schedule right now to sign up, and I'll see you there. That's great. Top Tribe will link to that in the show notes at nathanlatka.com/the top515. Again, /the top515. All right, Chad, last 5 questions here. These are quick one-word answers. First one, what's your favorite business book?
Virtual Freedom.
Number 2, that's Ducker, right? Ducker. Number 2, is there a CEO you're following or studying right now?
Gary Vaynerchuk.
Number 3, is there a favorite online tool you have, like Acuity scheduling?
I do like Acuity. Trello. Trello is solid.
How do you use Acuity?
I actually know the founder, and I know a lot of people that use it, but I don't actually use it myself.
Got it. Yeah, nathanlatka.com/Acuity. You guys can see Gavin worked out a special for you guys if you want to use that for free. So check that out. Number 4, yes or no? Are you getting 8 hours of sleep every night? And what's your situation? Married, single,
Married,
you have kids?
no kids.
No kids. And how old are
31.
you? 31. All right, last question, Chad. Take us back 11 years. What do you wish your 20-year-old self knew?
20-year-old self, probably to follow. Actually, I don't know. I think that I made the right moves at the right time. I got very lucky, but I also worked very hard. So 20-year-old self, probably go more after my passion and perhaps even change my major in college, because my major in college was finance. And I think I probably could have found something more helpful for me that I was more into.
There you go, Top Tribe. Find something. Make sure you're into it, especially when you're in college. Otherwise, switch quickly. From Chad Rubin, he's founded Skubana.com. They raised $1.8 million, $1 million internally, $880 outside. They're serving over 300 customers, paying around $1,000 per month. So doing about $300,000 in MRR, less than or close to 0% customer churn, probably net negative actually because of all the upselling they're doing. They did $300,000 or about 50. They grew to about 50K in MRR by the end of December 2015. Continued to grow very, very fast with their team of 12 based between New York City and Jersey. Chad, thank you for taking us to the top.
Thank you so much.
If you enjoyed Chad today, go back and listen to Alexander yesterday. They've raised $120 million by helping consumers, over 1 million of them, get over $100 million in credit lines. These consumers had no other choice because they have bad credit. So Credit Tech, his company, is doing something very special. Okay, Top Tribe, I'll see you bright and early tomorrow morning. And don't forget, before you listen to any other episodes, subscribe on iTunes right now for your chance to win $100 every Monday.